Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a nice day before we begin the video. Please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. At first, we couldn't figure out why General Hospital was having Brook Lynn research Brit as part of her revenge scheme against Lulu. But after Rocco confronted her about keeping Dad Dant in the dark about their loved child, read the recap. The puzzle pieces started to fall into place. Follow along, this is gonna be a twisty road. You'll recall that, once upon a time, Brit used one of Dante and Lulu's embryos in order to get pregnant and pass off the baby as Patrick Drake's. Eventually, as it always does, the truth came out, Brit's stunt was exposed, and Lil Ben was handed over to Lant and renamed Rocco. How does this help Brook Lynn in her vendetta against Lulu? Before we get to that, first it might pay to be reminded that Brook Lynn hasn't always been the sympathetic character that she is now. Way back when, she tried to seduce Dante at Carly's behest to break up him and Lulu. She has a mile-long conniving streak that Brook Lynn does. She just hasn't used it in a minute. What could possibly hurt Lulu more than to have Rocco turn out not to be her son after all? Brook Lynn could endeavor to prove that is the case by digging into everyone's medical files. Money opens a lot of locked doors, and unearthing evidence that, although Dante is the dad, Brit is the mother. Crazy? Sure. But at the time, there was a whole lot of swiping of sperm and eggs, and so on happening. Just ask Liesel. And even if we were told that it didn't go down that way, it isn't as if the show is opposed to occasionally tweaking history to suit its needs. Brook Lynn and Cody were supposedly great pals back in their camp days. Yet when he parachuted into Port Charles, she had to be introduced to him. See below. It would be painful enough for Lulu to find out that she wasn't Rocco's mother. But to really rub salt in the wound, Brook Lynn would have to go further. How? By reuniting the teenager with his birth mom. Neat trick, considering that Brit is dead. But there are ways to get around that particular hurdle. Review them all here. Everything fans thought they knew about Rocco falconery may be about to change forever. On General Hospital, secrets rarely stay buried, and this one could detonate lives across Port Charles. In an unexpected turn, Brook Lynn Quartermain has stumbled onto a mystery that suggests Lulu Spencer may not be Rocco's biological mother after all. The shocking implication. Brit Westburn could be his real mom. This wild theory isn't just a fan fantasy anymore. It's beginning to unravel on screen, and it's about to shake the Falconery and Quartermain families to their core. The clues are stacking up, the inconsistencies are glaring, and Brook Lynn is determined to get to the bottom of it, no matter who gets hurt in the process. It started innocently enough. Brook Lynn was searching through some old Quartermain files related to ELQ's donations to General Hospital, when she uncovered a series of confidential patient documents from nearly a decade ago. Documents that seemed out of place and improperly stored. Among the scattered folders, she found an unsigned birth certificate for a baby boy born at General Hospital, under strict privacy conditions. The date on the form aligned with Rocco's birthday, but what caught her eye was the mother's medical ID, one registered under Brit Westburn, not Lulu Spencer. At first, Brook Lynn tried to dismiss it. Maybe it was an error. Maybe Brit was just listed because she had been a doctor at the hospital at the time. But something didn't sit right. The more she stared at the paperwork, the more questions emerged, and a part of her couldn't let it go. With Dante and Lulu's past so deeply tied to Brook Lynn's own family history, and with her current relationship with Chase making her extra sensitive to fatherhood issues, Brook Lynn quietly began investigating. She first reached out to Elizabeth Weber, now head nurse, asking innocently about maternity wing procedures back then. Elizabeth grew suspicious, but offered limited information. Brook Lynn then turned to Maxie Jones, under the guise of working on a profile for the invader about birth anomalies in the hospital's past. Maxie, ever chatty and unaware of Brook Lynn's real motive, mentioned that Brit used to help certain patients in fertility-related cases during her tenure at GH. That included embryo transfers, IVF consultations, and other delicate procedures that sometimes blurred lines, legally and ethically. Lynn's alarm bells went off. She remembered when Lulu and Dante struggled with fertility and used frozen embryos to conceive Rocco. But now she had to wonder, what if Brit tampered with the process? What if, during her darker phase, before she softened, before her tragic death, she swapped embryos for reasons no one fully understood? Brit had always been a complicated woman, torn between her mother's manipulations and her own desire to be loved. She'd already passed off Ben as her son with Patrick, only to later admit he belonged to Dante and Lulu. Was it so impossible to imagine she'd been involved in another baby swap? This theory sends Lynn on a deeper dive. She enlists Spinelli's help under the table to discreetly trace medical records. At first, Spinelli hesitates, not wanting to drag up trauma related to Lulu, who remains in a coma. But Lynn convinces him it could be about justice, about truth. As they peel back layers of encryption in old hospital files, one name keeps popping up: Dr. Liesl Obrecht, Brit's mother. Obrecht had high-level clearance at the time and access to embryo labs. Suddenly, it becomes plausible. What if Obrecht, trying to secure her bloodline, ensured Brit's embryo was implanted instead of Lulu's? As this theory gains traction, Lynn becomes increasingly obsessed. She starts watching Rocco closely. She notices the way he raises an eyebrow, just like Brit used to. His fascination with biology, his sudden musical talents, it all begins to look different. And then there's the most striking revelation: a genetic test done during a school allergy screening. Lynn finagles a look at the report and sees a mitochondrial mismatch that shouldn't exist if Lulu is the biological mother. She doesn't tell Dante right away. Instead, she visits Dr. Portia Robinson, seeking a professional interpretation. Portia, after reviewing the documents, agrees. There's a discrepancy that warrants deeper DNA testing. But this is Port Charles, and secrets don't stay quiet for long. Olivia overhears Lynn discussing Rocco's DNA and demands to know what's going on. Torn between protecting the boy and exposing the truth, Lynn opens up, and Olivia is floored. She had her doubts about Brit, especially in those early days, but never imagined something this huge. Olivia insists they loop in Dante, but Lynn resists. She wants proof. Hard proof. So she goes to the one person she knows will help her without asking questions: Valentin Casadoin. Valentin agrees to fund an independent DNA test through one of his foreign labs. The results come back shocking. Rocco's DNA aligns partially with Brit Westburn and not with Lulu Spencer. Suddenly, what began as a theory becomes a full-blown scandal waiting to explode. Lynn is left holding the biggest secret in town. She knows Dante deserves to know. She knows Lulu, if she ever wakes up, will be devastated. But she also knows that telling the truth could rip Rocco's world apart. He's already lost enough. Is it worth it? Dante begins to notice Lynn's strange behavior. She's distracted, emotional, and dodging his calls. He confronts her, but she lies, at least at first. Then Rocco himself walks in on Lynn and Spinelli reviewing files at the Quartermain estate. "Is something wrong with me?" he asks, sensing the tension. Lynn is crushed. She realizes she can't keep this up. With trembling hands, she tells Dante everything. He listens in stunned silence, jaw clenched, eyes burning. "You're telling me my son might not be Lulu's," he whispers. Lynn nods. Dante doesn't want to believe it. He storms out, demanding a second opinion, a new round of tests. He insists on keeping this quiet, for now. But Portia, already involved, is legally obligated to alert hospital administration if medical errors or tampering are confirmed. The hospital board, already under scrutiny after recent scandals, opens an internal investigation. Elizabeth is pulled in. So is Monica. So is even Epiphany's old file database, reactivated for access to archived notes. The pieces begin to fall into place, one after another. Meanwhile, rumors swirl. Trina, Jocelyn, and even Spencer hear whispers of the unfolding drama. Emma Scorpio Drake, back in town for a short stay, confronts Brook Lynn, asking if she's lost her mind chasing a ghost. But Brook Lynn won't back down. This isn't about Brit, she says. It's about Rocco. He deserves the truth about where he came from. Soon, Cody Bell inserts himself into the story, claiming he remembers a conversation between Brit and Obrecht about a life insurance policy no one could trace. Cody believes that was Brit's way of ensuring her child, if anything ever happened to her, would be protected. Could that have meant Rocco? The tension reaches its peak when an anonymous tip is delivered to the invader, a sealed letter written by Brit before her death. The letter, authenticated and verified, states that in a moment of weakness and heartbreak, she made a choice she regretted every day, altering medical files related to a fertilization procedure involving Dante and Lulu. The letter doesn't go as far as admitting Rocco is her son, but it's enough. Enough to blow everything wide open. Now Dante stands at a crossroads. Does he tell Rocco the truth? Does he bring the boy into this spiral of identity crisis? And what happens to Lulu if she wakes up only to discover the child she risked everything to carry might not be hers by blood? Brook Lynn is guilt-ridden, but she stands by her decision. I couldn't lie to you anymore, she tells Dante, who holds back tears as he looks at the boy he's raised for nearly a decade. You're still his dad, Brook Lynn adds, but maybe now, we figure out who his mother really was. General Hospital is diving deep into one of its most emotional storylines in years, confronting ideas of family, truth, love, and loss. As Rocco's true parentage becomes a town-wide mystery, alliances will be tested, friendships broken, and long-buried sins resurrected. One thing is certain, Brook Lynn's discovery has changed everything. And once the dust settles, Port Charles may never be the same. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our YouTube channel for more update news.